Hello, and welcome to yet another conversation. I am your professional host, Rytis, reaching out to you from the capital of Lithuania, from Vilnius, and as always, halfway across the world in the City of Angels, Los Angeles, California, is my dear friend Layla. She is a doctor of psychology. She is a professional psychic and medium, and she is the Lady Reverend Dr. Layla, and she is the Psychicology doctor.
Hi, how are you?
Doing fantastic would be a lie. So no, I'm here. We're here.
There's a lot happening this year. So there's, as we discussed
yes,
before. So
yes.
I hear you. I hear you.
As well as also amidst all of it, we meet both of us actually a year older and wiser this time in our conversation because we both had our birthdays just recently.
Yeah.
Yes. Cheers to getting older and
wiser.
Hopefully. And yeah, so I think it's only fair that we talk a little bit about birthdays today. You know, the seemingly sometimes random day in the year that you celebrate your creation and showing up on this plane of existence. My question is this: is there anything more to it? Is it actually random, or is there some sort of a spiritual like reasoning, energy, or something behind our actual birthdays?
That's a very loaded question. Yes. So let's start with what's the common information. Common information says that there's such a thing as astrology. Astrology says that depending on the day that you were born, your sun sign falls on a certain element. So earth, air, fire, or water. And within each element, you have 3 zodiac signs. So within those zodiac signs, you have cardinal, fixed. So cardinal signs, fixed signs, and mutable signs. So each one represents another category of your personality. And of course, the elements also bring in a category of your personality. And then, so the sun sign is the easiest thing to figure out. So these are all common information that you can look up on Google. You can find it anywhere. You can find it, going to the grocery store, like on Star Magazine or Do they even have magazines anymore? Everything's online now. So I just remember as a little child growing up, learning about astrology with my auntie, who is the first person that introduced me to astrology as a child, and astrological charts, and introducing me to then another layer, which is actually your moon sign and your rising sign. This kind of encompasses the same concept of your whole personality in a chart. So wherever the planets are, so wherever the planet is aligned, whatever the magnetic push and pull is essentially meant to define who you are when you're born. So that's the common knowledge. And then, of course, you go further into the charts, the cycles, the houses, that type of thing. I hope you're following me so far. And so we have all of that. And, you can find an astrologer, you can find somebody to do your chart for you. So these are kind of like the common things. It's like, oh, what's the guy or the girl that I'm dating? What's their personality? Oh, when's your birthday? What year were you born? Where were you born? What time were you born? And what city and state? And then you can look it up online, and it's kind of like, okay, here's this person's personality. Oftentimes, more often than not, it's fairly accurate. Now, here's another layer to that question. As you said, is there something deeper to why are we born on this day? Is it random just because mom and dad got together, or because a family decided, hey, this is the day we're going to the doctor, to get inseminated? What is this about? So doing the spiritual meditation, you're like, what spiritual the spiritual meditation that I do to connect with source and to look further out as to what's going on behind all of this. So before we're born, we actually have an agreement. We make a contract. We're waiting in line to be born as a spirit. We're waiting to buy that car, to go into our it's like buying a car. Our body is an organic vehicle, and we're waiting in line to win the lotto, to have it, to get it, to own it, to be like, yes, I get to be a part of this world. So the concept of past lives and reincarnation comes into play. So there's a concept of your blueprint. Why are you coming on this planet for? What are the rewards that you deserve to get? What is the karma that you have to go through? Are you coming back because maybe you're a really bad human being and you're coming back on this planet so the whole world can treat you really bad so you can get your karma because you did so many bad things in a past life? Are you coming on this planet as a vacation lifetime? So are you born in a really wealthy, very loving family and everything comes to you so easily and so naturally that it's like, wow, how does that person have so much? Like, how do they get to where they're at? These are actually agreements. And so when you choose to be born, kind of becomes your blueprint. And in order to because when we're born, we're not necessarily remembering, why am I on this planet? What's the purpose of being on this planet? When you were born, and you got like slapped, and you're crying, you're not like, oh my God, I have to, become a host and I'm going to be in Lithuania. You're not going to remember this. You just are. You're just living your life. Right. And so the beautiful thing about astrology is it's kind of a nice little reminder that, hey, this is the path that you picked. So the exact date, the exact time, sometimes you see babies being born early, or they don't want to be born at all. They're like, oh, I was conceived a little too early. And so they're waiting for that time to actually be physically born so they can be on their path. Questions?
Yes. I'm glad you touched upon the subject because, as you were saying about, astrology, is it astrology or astronomy, or kind of a mix of both?
No, astronomy is the actual scientific information about planetary alignments. So that's very scientific based. Astrology is based off of astronomy's planetary alignments, but astrology is connected to zodiac signs and your birth chart.
Yes, but it always sounded to me that astrology uses actual like astronomy as well,
Yes.
and like tracking movements of bodies in the sky and things
Yes.
like that. Because the moment someone tries to tell me that, oh, because you're born on this specific day, this is your personality, in my mind I immediately go like, well, I am fairly certain that every single person that shares the same birthday that me, we are not the exact same person. So you can't say that. I always thought that your geographical location of birth, family, like all of these things like kind of play into it. And now hearing you say that this is chosen by us beforehand and it's a contract, that makes more sense to me, because having known a couple of people in my life that share the same birthday as me, you look at them and you're like, yeah, we're nothing alike. So that all of those theories don't really hold much water. And also, I think there's a part of me, and I'm sure there's a lot of people who don't necessarily subscribe to this type of thinking. And my question is this then: can someone who doesn't believe in anything you just said. They don't believe that your soul or whatever, your spirit, makes a contract before you're born, and then you get amnesia, so you forget about it, and then you have to relearn it throughout your life. That where you were born, when you were born, how the stars were aligned, that none of it matters, and it's all BS. If someone believes that, it's just random chance, you just happen to be born, you had no part in it, you're just here, and you got to figure stuff out. Is there any value for that sort of a person who thinks like that to actually just look it up a little bit, just to try to read up on things that surround birthdays just a little bit? Can they still be swayed towards it having some sort of a benefit for your life? I wonder.
I definitely believe it does. I value people who don't believe in this work as much as the people that do. So what you're asking, I think, is a very valid, hence also one of the reasons why you make such a wonderful host, because having two people that sit here and believe in this, it's just a lot of back and forth. So what you're asking is there any value in you getting your chart read, for example? Yes. So the answer is yes. And I'll tell you why. Even if you don't believe it, I think the wonderful part is you'll get it read. You might resonate with some things. You might not believe in a lot of things, but there will be pieces that you understand. And there will be pieces that you'll look at and say, oh my God, I really don't like this. So if it's something that comes up and it's something that you're having a reaction to, the part that I think is gold is your map is not necessarily supposed to be this smooth ride. You're supposed to look at it and see what your reaction is. Let's say there's something in 20 years and connected to your health, and you look at it and you're like, oh my God, I would never want to suddenly, let's say if Jupiter goes into your planet of health and it's going to be expansion, and suddenly it's like, well, you have the potential to gain 20, 30 pounds, or, money comes your way, but you're going to gain 20, 30 pounds, or it's a potential, let's say, Saturn or Pluto goes into your planet, and then there's a restriction. So you get to see this image, this visual, that in 20 years, this could maybe happen. Now, if you're okay with it, great. But if you're not okay with it, maybe even if you don't believe in it, you might become more health conscious and start taking action ahead of time towards this concept or this idea that may or may not happen. So to me, it's equal to watching the news and looking at the economy and, the recession and the inflation, and deciding how you want to live your life in relationship to what's happening in the world. Do you want to react? Do you want to save your money? What do you want to do? So to me, an astrological chart, a personalized astrological chart, is the same thing, catered to you.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I mean, it does make sense. And I think from the very good old days, I don't want to mislead people with my information, but I believe even back in ancient Greece, philosophers were saying, and basically philosophy always leads to knowing yourself. Mm. And if astrology, I think, or spiritual work is something that may even feel like is beyond your realm of understanding or belief, I think any knowledge you can gain about yourself can be useful and can be, like you said, a guideline towards something better, something different. I know in acting school, when I remember I was quite skeptical when one of our teachers used to say, figure out your astrological charts, look up your birthdays, look up what happened in the world, look up where the planets were, everything, the meaning of your name, which seems, again, arbitrary because your parents give it to you and you have supposedly nothing Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So
Or
it's like,
or did you pick
yeah,
it
so
before you were born?
right. So it's all of this stuff that you can very easily push aside and
Mhm.
say, I'm not interested, I don't believe in that stuff. But there also can be something useful, something you connect with, something that resonates with you. And I think, as in general, as people who I think most of what we do in life is looking for a connection to something or someone,
Right.
uh, finding that with yourself, whatever way it may come. I think it's a good thing. So basically, what we're saying is, try not to not discredit, but to dismiss
Mhm.
things necessarily. See if you can use them to your own benefit.
Right. Right. And I think one of the words that came to my mind was self-discovery. What can you find in this world that helps you discover who you are? So some things for many people, going to therapy, um, different variations of therapy out there, different modalities of, um, you know, formats of, I'm thinking about all the different names, so if you can go in for trauma, you can go in for life goals, you can go in for career, physical pain. So just like therapy, the spiritual world has a lot of concepts of self-discovery. So astrological charts, connecting with your birthday, um, similar to, as you said, your name. So in Greece, they actually have name day, celebrating the day of your name. So not just your birthday, but they celebrate the name of your day.
Yeah,
And
we have that too. Have that too. Yeah.
do you?
Hmm. I have two of them for some reason.
Oh, okay. So there's just more of you to love. Okay, great.
Yeah.
So interestingly enough, we'll pick another day to talk about names and what names mean. Because when I do readings and healings on people, the only thing I ask for at that moment is your name. And I can usually tell if somebody has an extra name or a nickname, because that holds a different vibration. It resonates differently. So let's say somebody who is in entertainment and they change their name, um, sometimes they'll come in with, they'll give me their surname or the fake name, but I can see there's a real name, and so you actually have to look at the vibration of that. So that's a whole different thing. So it's interesting that you actually have two names, or if you look at someone's middle name or their, I don't know. I've seen people have American names and then their name from, again, um, from their home country. So again, that holds its own vibration. So there is something to names. Going back to birthdays, there is something to why you're born on that day. So again, the main reasoning is we are all here for a purpose. We are all here to have some form of self-discovery. So even if your karma, as I was mentioning before, let's say you have a lot of heavy karma, the purpose is to have self-discovery. It's not to be on this planet and to just have a difficult life. It's to raise your vibration. It's to hopefully grow and evolve from where you're at that moment. That's why in a lot of spiritual concepts, or if you look at a lot of, spiritual logos, it's the lotus. And they're like, oh, we just know it's the lotus. But the lotus blossoms from murky, muddy, this disgusting, dirty swamp water. It's a resilient flower. And it's this beautiful, gorgeous flower that blooms in the middle of nothingness, dirtiness, disgustingness. And that is, why a lot of spiritual concepts use the lotus, because, we are on this planet. We do come from, if you want to bring in the Bible, we have original sin. We have sin from our parents. So our parents did something. My personal point of view was, okay, if your parents do something that goes into their body, maybe trauma or some form of epigenetics, then we are born and we're going to carry that trauma. So that's why they say you need to heal yourself before you can have children, or that's kind of the benefit. So if you're born on a certain day, and let's say you have an agreement with your family, maybe your life purpose is you went through trauma, you have this really difficult family. So many people, you know, they came from poverty, and then they're the first ones to have, you know, became a doctor, gone to college. They are transforming. They are following their karmic path. People think karma is just negative, but karma is negative and positive. I don't even want to say it's bad or good. There's things that we need to atone for, and then there's things that we came to like trailblaze our own unique personal path for. You know what I mean? It's to me, the first thought I get is it's almost like saying, well, you don't need blood vessels because we have arteries. And we need all of it for the entire human body to function. It's the same concept in spirituality. So again, we're here for a purpose. It can seem small, it can be big. So the people that are here for like the larger purpose, you know, like you see like a lot of famous musicians, or you see people who really make a change in the world. And you also see people who really damage the world. They come on this planet for a purpose. And that does connect to our birthdays, the day, the time, all of it, because we're choosing to kind of snap into that frequency the minute we're born. And thus it's like our birthday is basically an antenna, you know, like those old cars from like the 80s or 90s. I don't think there's antennas anymore, but like I mean, it doesn't look like this, but you know, getting the frequency from the planet that this is the path, this is the easier path, or I just seem to be going on this track, and I like, how come I'm going on this path but I'm not going on that path? And it is connected to the day and the time that we're born.
Okay, so if someone was to get this reading about their birth date, what sort of information should you expect in that? Would you get the information about the karmic balance of your life? Which way is it going? Or would you just get more of a personalized I don't even know how to,
like a personal astrology chart?
Yeah, but would it reflect more about your personality, or would it be kind of like a roadmap for your life? Would it tell you this karmic balance, this balance that's going on, and also where to get the good ones and how to spot the bad ones as well?
That is $1 million question right there.
Yeah.
So let me start with the last question and work my way backwards. So how to get a good astrologer? That's a difficult one. Again, I believe in referrals. So my entire practice is through referrals. I do think you can look online. I do believe if they're going to push you and not give you the space to make your own decision, I personally don't recommend going to those people. But again, referral or finding somebody that has great reviews online. And they might not have a lot of reviews. That doesn't mean that they're not going to be great. So you okay there?
I'm good. Almost knocked me off my feet with that one. Okay.
Thank you. On the other side of the world, I knocked you off your feet. No, kidding. And this is why we're friends. So that's one part. I think sometimes, again, it is the concept of trial and error as far as finding a good person. The next one is, do we find the details of karma in an astrology chart? So yes and no. So an actual astrologer is doing mathematical, astrology is mathematical. So a person can learn how to do astrology, and then a really great person will know how to read between the lines. An even better person will be a psychic astrologer that is doing all the math first, not an intuitive astrology reading. They're not using their spiritual intuition and then giving you a reading. They're doing the math for the day and the time and the place that you're born and giving you the chart. You can also look this up online in general. I think there's like things like cafe astrology or free astrology chart. They'll give you like a general roundabout. Those are okay. Going even further back, so from my experience, so something that I do is if you want kind of like a psychic astrology reading, so I'll do a timeline. So I will ask you for your name and your birthday to get the vibration of your name. So one of my main clients, so I'll just share this. I'm thinking of one person as of recently. One of my main clients has gotten a timeline for themselves, and sometimes they'll ask me like their yearly what's going on throughout the year, or quarterly sessions. And so we do the reading on that. They recently went to an astrologer, like a really, really famous, well-known astrologer, who obviously knew nothing about this person and nothing about their family. And they came back to me in a session, and they actually told me, sorry, my cat's leaving the room. I'm like, is he okay? The old one, the wise one. So my client told me that everything I had said within the psychic reading matched the chart. And so they wanted confirmation, because there were some things that came up within the family system and who they married and their children and their home and everything and their career, that they wanted more of a psychic clarity on, that the chart couldn't give. So from what I understood, it's what I said matched, and then the chart gave more of like a solid foundation of certain things, that it was just, how do I explain it? It was, there was specific concepts that came up that we never looked at, like specific to, basically in astrology, you have 12 houses, and then you have like family, home, health, and all of that. So they went through all of that, right? Mm. And so even though we had discussed like, yes, your child was born via karma and this and that, there was just one specific piece that the astrology chart had that, you know, that she brought in and she wanted to look at. So to me, the best one is you get your chart and you have somebody that you trust look at the energy and see what parts are definitive, as in like, okay, this is karmic, this is happening, this may not change, like I am on this planet to have this experience, and what parts can be changed. Because from my point of view, going into another section as far as karma, we are here to have an idea of what our purpose is, but we're allowed to change it. We can change it. We can look at something when someone says that's just how this person is, or they're never going to change or never going to grow, there's a lack of opportunity, lack of information, there's a stubbornness, a resistance, whatever it is. But that doesn't mean we cannot change. It's just a matter of choice and will to make these changes happen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm immediately taken to one of the great scenes from one of my favorite movies, where two characters are discussing the fact that they're talking about different information that was than the information that was given before. Mm-hmm. And then the answer to that was, why did that happen? Was because, you know, you were the one who decided when it was time for you to know what you know. And you needed to hear what you needed to hear at that time to get to the point where you are. And the movie is The Matrix. It's no secret. But yeah, but it just took me there, because this sounds very, very much like that. Yeah, any more final thoughts on birthdays, and what should we explore, and how should we explore that this phenomenon of being born in a particular place at a certain time with certain stars aligned in a certain way in the sky?
I mean, I'm sure I can sit here and talk for hours and hours and go into the different pathways of the topic, but I think the last piece is, I do think it's wonderful to have like a generalized story or a narrative of your astrological chart and your birthday and what it means. And sometimes it validates us and makes us feel good that, oh, I have this trait in me. I have this personality trait. And then also acknowledge the parts that you feel that is not that great and take advantage of it. Because if it doesn't make you feel good, is there something you can do to, sorry, my cat's right here. Is there something you can do to make a change and make yourself feel better so that you can, you know, go from the murky waters and blossom like a lotus? Those are my thoughts.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, I'm just getting an image of, and probably emotional and otherwise memories of staring at a blank piece of paper, trying to write something down, and how much easier it is, even if you agree or don't agree with something, to have already something written down and then edit around it.
Yeah.
So I think maybe use this concept and take it in this way. Like we said, it could help you, it could do nothing for you, but at least it will give you an idea of what could happen and give you the ability to influence it, change it, or accept it.
Great.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. We are older and wiser, I feel like, this time. Hopefully. Yeah, so that was our conversation about birthdays today. As always, if you have any questions, suggestions, any ideas, or topics that you want us to cover in the future, let us know, and we will get around to it eventually.
Yes.
All right, so this has been the Psychicology Doctor. Thank you for joining us in this conversation, and we hope to connect with you very, very soon.
All right. I'll see you later. Bye.
Cheers.